Well, hello, y'all. It is time to breathe again on the latest BOFA Sports webcast streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You see me, Charles Taylor, along with Patrick Brackett. And Patrick, we have a lot to get to. These college football rankings, these playoff rankings just came out an hour and a half ago, and we will get to those here in a little bit.
I ain't even looked at them yet.
It's all good. But first, we're going to go straight to the graphic here because, Patrick, you had another perfect week. So here we go.
I didn't even realize that.
Yes. So as we went through the game, so here's what we have. The 6 games we had went through was Ohio State, Penn State, Pitt and SMU, Mississippi and Arkansas, Ole Miss and Arkansas, Minnesota, Illinois, Duke, Miami, and of course, Florida and UGA in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Patrick picked all 6 of those games right. I'm 5-1 because he got the Minnesota Illinois game correct, and I had Illinois winning. Of course, Minnesota won 25-17. So 6-0 last week for Patrick. I was 5-1 overall. He's 33-15. I'm 2 games behind. The final scores. Okay. In that Florida-Georgia game, you said at first 34-21. Now, of course, it was 34-20. And then you changed it to like 36-20 right after that.
Because somebody was like, "Oh, this show is brought to you by."
and I had Florida score right. I picked 20 for Florida, but I had Georgia scoring 42, I think. So we were both right there in some way, shape, or form. But as it stands, no exact prediction of final scores as of yet on either end. But Patrick has a 2-game lead in the overall standings because of the Minnesota-Illinois victory that he had picked correctly. So with that being said, Patrick, what else caught your eye from last week's action?
Man, Duke kept that game close with Miami all the way up to about 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, dude. And then that interception really killed Duke. The Ohio State Penn State game, man, what is it that Penn State has a problem with that Franklin should just not pull the trigger? What is the problem with when he gets into a game with Ohio State? He just will not play aggressive. All these other teams that we sit and watch him coach with, or coach against, it is aggressive. I mean, like, we have talked over it week after week after week how aggressive Franklin is. He's just so aggressive. Gets into this Ohio State game, and the dude literally will not play aggressive. I don't understand. I don't know why he will not allow himself to coach freely with that team. I just don't understand it. It has bothered me to no end because I texted you even during the game. I was like, why? Why will he not just coach freely in that game? I just don't get why he won't do it.
It's the same old story, man. Just throw a pass over 10 yards and let's blitz a little bit on defense. It doesn't seem that hard to me, but it's to the point now, Patrick, which I think we have probably said this a year or 2 ago, but if it wasn't at that time, it definitely is the time now to say Penn State will never be a championship team as long as James Franklin is there. Now, I know they did win the Big Ten. I think this was 2016 when they did win the Big Ten. Outside of that, I mean, they have, I think, 8 straight losses, I think it is, to Ohio State now. And as long as he's there, I don't see them beating Ohio State again. Ever again.
Don't ever see
this. You're just very conservative, way too close to the vest. And it's right there for the taking. It's not like Ohio State is blowing them out. It's
He's got a better team.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, statistically, Franklin is walking in with a better team. And if you're going to win, if you're going to beat Ohio State, you have the better team. You have them at home. College game day was there. Everything is right there ready for you to do it. And he is literally holding pocket aces, and he folds every time. And I'm like, okay. I mean, there's nothing I can say or do about it. It's just the play calling. I mean, if you're going to pass, like the 4 downs he had on the 1 yard line, run it, pull in a bigger guy, run it, and then you pass. Or like, pass and take it down. Open up the middle so that you got a path in. No, man, it's just horrible play calling, dude.
It's another thing too, Patrick. Situational football. Yeah, it's either you run the ball 4 times, because if you were going to run it the first 3 times, you might as well run it on 4th down.
Yeah,
you might as well just say, offensive line, you should be able to get me a yard on 4th down.
Yeah,
or like you said, either throw on 2nd or maybe even 1st down. But at least there's a balance with the play calling there. You're running the ball 3 times and then trying to throw on 4th down. It makes you super predictable with the play calling. And Ohio State was all over that play. There was nobody open on that play.
Everybody knew it was coming. Everybody knew it was coming. I even sit there and was like, oh, God, he's going to pass. This is dumb. This is dumb. Just run it again. And if that's the case, you bring in another big guy. You put a 2nd string lineman.
Yeah.
Somebody get his ass in the damn end zone. Swear to God, if he's not in there, everybody's going to feel my wrath come Sunday. Monday morning, I don't care where it is. Somebody's going to be hurt. Get him in. just get him in. Anyway, I don't know. I don't, at this point, I don't think I will ever see Penn State winning that conference if they have to go against anybody of the caliber of Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana. Indiana. If Indiana's going to continue to keep playing like this, they're just phenomenal, dude. I'm going to move on because I'm tired of talking about them. How about Louisville beating Clemson in Death Valley?
Hey, you brought up the Ohio State Penn State one.
Yeah. He's never going to beat them. He's never going to beat them. So we'll just continue to keep picking Ohio State and put another win on our mark, on our graphic.
Louisville and Clemson, yeah. Huge.
Yeah, that was a big win for Louisville. Personal opinion, I didn't actually see that happening. But they played football, dude.
They dominated that game.
They dominated them on both sides of the field. I mean, they were pushing around Clemson. I mean, it was like they knew when the snap of the ball was going to happen before Clemson did. They were so fast. I mean, I've never seen Louisville play that fast and with that kind of persistence. I mean, they didn't miss tackles. They wrapped up very, very controlled football. They didn't have any penalties. I mean, they had a few, like 3 or 4, but I mean, played phenomenal. And none of those freebies either, like all sides or anything like that.
Now it's sound football.
Yeah.
They were mistake free. They clean. It was a clean game.
Yeah, very clean. I mean, there's not really much to say about that SMU Pittsburgh game. Like I said, I kind of felt SMU was going to win that game. I honestly, that was one of those pick'em games where, like, if they played in Pittsburgh, I would have went with Pittsburgh. But since they're playing in SMU, I went with SMU. They're good.
What's going on?
Russell Williamson, I said, hey. I followed him on all of his socials too. And then there's one more game. I got South Carolina beating Texas A&M, dude. Like, they came out with a purpose. South Carolina came out with a purpose playing that game. So that was an interesting game. I liked watching that one.
Yeah, and it's life in the SEC, man. Like it seems like every team that has had some sort of a big win, they had to go to some sort of a buzzsaw. In this case, with Texas A&M, they knocked off LSU the week before, and then had to go to South Carolina, which, if you had seen that environment at Williams-Brice Stadium, that is a hostile place to play at. And South Carolina came out. Seems like everybody wants to wear all black jerseys too at home, but South Carolina came out with all black. Tennessee, if you saw the game with them in Kentucky, they had all black uniforms on. So everybody's coming out with the all blacks now. And South Carolina played this. They were more physical, and it did not look like A&M was ready for the physicality South Carolina was bringing. And I don't know if it was one of those things where they heard all those press clippings. They were the only undefeated team in the SEC. And it's one of those things when we brought it up last week about A&M when they did beat LSU. It was an opportunity to see how A&M handles success. Now they're going on the road in a hostile environment. It's clear they failed that test. South Carolina brought it to them. And A&M, they righted the ship a little bit, a good bit in the first half, because they were able to come back. It was tied at 20 at the half. And then South Carolina just pulled away in the second half. So, I mean, Patrick, that's life. That's life right now in the SEC. These teams now, there's so much depth in the conference. And it's saying a lot when you consider how normally deep the SEC is. But now with the additions of Texas and OU, on top of these teams just coming in, you just never know. I mean, we're seeing Vanderbilt playing with everybody now, and that tells you how deep this conference is. Yep.
And Vanderbilt had a big win this weekend too.
Yeah, they went down to Auburn and beat them. Anything else catch your eye?
No, that's it.
All right.
That was a quick review, actually. That's probably the quickest review we've had this year. Hey, look, what do I gotta say? Hey, nothing to say. I went 6-0.
It takes perfection to get by me.
Yeah.
But I guess with that, let's see if you can extend the lead here, man. So we'll move on. I could bring up what you said about Georgia, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want you to get on a rant.
I've already ranted. We want to talk about Carson Beck and his 400 interceptions in one game? Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I have a feeling the Georgia Ole Miss game will be one of the games we look at, so you can rant there. But
I'll rant there because I know one of us was picking that.
But
top 20 showdown.
But you started off this week. I started off last week. So what's the first game you have?
I started off. I'm gonna go here. This is an interesting game. It could be it could go either way depending on how well each one of these teams wants to play. How about Colorado and Texas Tech? Let's go there. Texas Tech coming off of a big win. Colorado's having to travel to them. I've been curious about if Texas Tech can handle. They haven't been able to handle a win or handle a win streak yet, and I'm curious if they could do it this week. Now, with that being said, I'm not picking Texas Tech. I'm actually picking Colorado, but I'm curious about it. I think this will be a good game. This could have the potentials of being a really good game because they match up very well. They match up very well on offense and defense on both sides. So I'm kind of curious if Texas Tech can pull off that win because they played really well last weekend. They actually played really well. So I'm kind of curious if they can go into the next week with 2 games and a win streak against that prime time Deion Sanders offense that he loves so well. So I don't think they can. I'm gonna go Colorado, and I'm gonna go Colorado. I think there's gonna be some scoring in this one. I'm gonna go Colorado 39. I'm gonna go Colorado 39-30.
I'm going Texas Tech 47-43.
Hey, look, if you're gonna make your move, right here is where you're gonna make your move. You gotta make up some ground because perfection is hard too.
Yeah, yes, you're right. This game could go either way. Both of these teams have very good offenses, and the defenses are left to be desired. Now, you mentioned the game of Texas Tech last week. They actually went up 2 games and knocked off Iowa State from the ranks of the undefeated.
Yep.
And won that game 25-22 in rain, mind you, up there in Ames. So the Texas Tech team, it's really tough to see how they're doing from week to week.
Yep.
Because they can have a game like they did against Iowa State, and then the next week get throttled by Baylor, because both of these things have happened this year.
Yep.
So Iowa State can play with pretty much anybody on any given week. Colorado, I think I'm trying to see with Colorado, because things are in front of them. Because of the loss by Iowa State and also the loss by K-State, we will get to those rankings in a minute, Aaron, because, Boise State is going to come on up. But I think to answer your question, what happened there is Boise State is the last rated conference leader right now, and their ranking was a little bit low too, according to these latest Look, hey, we put Boise State, we put respect on their names. We think Boise State is good. I don't know what the rankings are showing, but
I hadn't looked at the rankings yet, so I wanted to wait on this show so that I could rant when I'm pissed off about something I don't like.
So, Aaron, we will get to that. But yes, Colorado, everything is out in front of them. Iowa State lost. K-State lost to Houston. So Colorado is sitting right there with the one conference loss to K-State. They are right there. BYU is still undefeated, but they're playing Utah this week. And even though Utah hasn't looked as good as we thought they would, it's a rivalry game. Be careful for BYU, of course. Yeah. But everything is out there for Colorado. I'm just trying to see how they handle success, because remember, of course, Deion came in with his transfer portal guys, with Travis Hunter, with his son at quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, and that was a 1-11 football team. They got to 4 wins, and now all of a sudden they're bowl eligible, and they had a bye week. So people are talking mess about Colorado. This might be the time when Colorado comes up. Want to see how they handle that success. I don't think they fall on their face, but I do think their defense is just not that good to stop Texas Tech enough. I don't think Texas Tech's really going to stop Colorado either, as much as it's just going to be an outscoring. So,
who's got the ball last?
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know. I honestly don't really see like a lot of turnover, so I don't think the turnover margin is going to be that huge, because I do think these offenses take care of the ball, and these defenses just have too many holes in them, whether that's on the line or in the secondary. So these teams are going to run and pass on each other almost at will. So I do like your score. I mean, that's like 80. Over 85 points scored in a game. I mean, like that's a lot. But it wouldn't surprise me, because, like we said, these defenses are just so hit or miss. But I feel Colorado does have a little bit more show power, I guess, and I think they
have firepower.
Yeah, I think they win. But like you were saying with Colorado, I don't think Texas Tech is going to fall on their face. I think they're coming to play. They are at home, so it's one of those things where you don't want to you don't want to disappoint your fans, But at this point, Colorado does travel very well, so I think it's going to be a good game. I really do, because it could go either way. It's either going to be a blowout or it's going to be really close.
All right, Patrick. Well, I'll go next here with the picks. And how about this one? Going to stay in the SEC here.
The Bear Bowl?
No, not that one.
I told him I wouldn't make any more jokes, and I just lied.
South Carolina and Vanderbilt. So we just talked about the depth in the SEC, and South Carolina's coming off of this win over Texas A&M. We know what Vanderbilt has been doing this year too, and they're bowl eligible as well. So this game is in Nashville. I think this could go either way. I think both teams are kind of playing. They're just playing good football now. I think the win South Carolina had over Texas A&M is one of those wins that could really get the program to take off. They've been knocking on the door. They've had close games this year. They almost knocked off LSU. They almost went. That game was at home. They almost went to Tuscaloosa and beat Bama. And here they are now. They got this win, and they just pulled away from A&M. I like their momentum right now. And although it will be tough to go to Nashville and win that game because Vanderbilt is playing well too, and that's not the Vanderbilt we're used to seeing. This is actually a good football team. I think South Carolina will go in there and pull out a close one, and I think it will be in the 20s. I'm going 24-21, South Carolina.
Dude, you're right. South Carolina, after that big win over Texas A&M, that is a season-changing victory. Here's the problem. Vanderbilt's already had their season-changing victory. They beat Alabama at home and gave Texas everything they wanted. Gave Texas everything they didn't want. I mean, they almost got Texas. And those are two high-powered offenses, two high-powered defenses. I'm going to go Vandy, man. I think it's hard to beat Vandy in Nashville. It wouldn't surprise me if they tear down some goalposts on Saturday again. I mean, they got the new ones in that break at the base now.
I think they finally brought in the ones that fold down. Vanderbilt's catching up with the rest of the league.
Oh, yeah, they have to. Did you say it took them forever to get those goalposts down? Now they got the ones that break at the base.
They know they need those fold down ones, and now they can start handing out fines to Vanderbilt for storming the field now because
and real fines, not them half-ass fines that they got last time. No, it's real fines now. The whole $25,000, not just the 12. Come on now.
What's your score?
I'm gonna go Vandy. I'm gonna go Vandy 27-17.
Oh, you got a nice solid 10 point.
I got a 10-point victory for them. Dude, I can tell you, man. Anybody who wants to go into Nashville, they don't want to go to Nashville. They don't want to go to Nashville. They're like, look, I'll go to Nashville for all the country music. I ain't going to play Vandy. I'm done. I'm good. They handled Kentucky and Vandy. They handled Alabama and Vandy. I got Vandy. 27-17. Roll with them.
What's your next game?
Here, I'll go here.
Alabama, I love how Nashville is all of a sudden like the best home field advantage ever.
I know, right? I never thought I was ever going to say that in my entire life, and now I'm like, whoa, dude. I mean, they got Taylor Swift there. They got Jelly Roll. They got Vanderbilt, dude. Nashville is the place to be. They're done. Luke Combs, they got everybody. So that's I don't want to play. I don't want to go there and have to play them. I told you earlier this year, I was like, after they beat out, I was like, I'm glad Georgia doesn't have to go to Vandy.
Yeah, you did say that. Yes.
So the next game, I'm gonna go Alabama LSU. Here is if you weren't put out of the playoffs for either one of these teams at 6-2, here is the game that's gonna definitely do it.
It's like an elimination game.
This is it right here for these two teams right here, with the high-powered gameplay that they have had all season. To lose the game, for Alabama to lose their 2 games, LSU to lose their 2 games. Luckily for LSU, one of theirs was out of conference. But Alabama and LSU, this is a must-win. This is a must-win. This puts them back into that national championship talk, because they're kind of like on the outside looking in. People are already starting to kind of eliminate them off. Here's their chance to get back in. And in the past, it has always been when Alabama is out, it's not because Alabama gets in, not because they were the better team. It's because the teams above them couldn't handle the pressure to keep them out when they got back in. Here is LSU's opportunity to get rid of Alabama into a national championship contention, get them out of the playoffs. Here it is. Unfortunately, I don't think they do it. Even though they're playing in Death Valley, LSU's version of Death Valley, even though they're playing there, that hard loss against Texas A&M last week week before, I still think has got them messed up. I'm gonna go Alabama. I'll go Alabama 30-26.
Okay. Yeah, this one's a back and forth one. Right now, I have a dilemma with Alabama. I have a dilemma with LSU too.
I had a dilemma with both of them too.
Yeah, but my dilemma with Alabama right now is they don't really have an identity. They don't really know if they want to be a running football team or if they want to throw the ball all over with Milrow. Because in some games, they will come out there throwing the ball all over the place. In other games, they want to establish the run. And if you are going to be a team like LSU in their house, there has to be some sort of identity that is established. Because they don't really have that right now, and maybe they do establish it. Maybe they are able to get into this bye week because both teams are coming out of a bye week and they're able to work some things out. I think LSU, even though they did get, things fell apart in A&M. They were up 17-7, and then Nussmeier threw that pick, and it just rolled downhill from there. It was A&M all day, every day.
Yeah.
So I think because they had the bye week, I think LSU can write some things out there. And I do think it will be a close game. I don't think this will be a blowout by any means. But I think just the lack of identity with Bama right now, these are the games where it kind of catches up to them. When you're on the road and you're in these tough environments, what is your go-to? Well, what are you going to lean back on to say we can ride this out to victory? It could be as easy as Milrow just has to make a few plays. But I think LSU's defense can do enough to contain that. And just like the South Carolina Vandy score, I have that being, well, it might get to the 30s. I do think it'll be close, though. I'm going to go LSU here, 31-27. I think there will be some points score because these defenses, they're not as strong as they traditionally are. So I think there will be some plays made, but I think it'll just be a solid played game all over the place. But I think LSU will make one more play. So I got them winning.
I mean, as long as Nussmeier does his job, he's going to throw in that secondary. He will throw in that secondary all day, every day. Even look at what the suck-ass Carson Beck did in the second half. After throwing 4 interceptions, he ended up throwing 3 interceptions, he ended up throwing 4 touchdowns in the second half. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, the game plan has already been put in place. Georgia exposed everything in that second half against Alabama. They exposed it. And if you look at it week by week, every one of those teams has just picked at it. Look at what Vandy did. They threw on that secondary almost the entire game. 25 throws, 26 throws from Pavia. 26 throws. He completed 22 of them. He was throwing on that secondary all day. Nussmeier can do the same thing. And if he does that, you're absolutely right. I mean, they're going to win. But if Alabama gets a huge pick, it could go bad for Nussmeier because at that point, everything's going to be in his head. Oh, crap, I can't let what happened at A&M happen to me again. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm gambling on. I'm like, throw that interception, dude, because when you do, Alabama's going to roll with you. So, yeah, I like your score, though. I do. That's a good score. I like that one.
All right, well, here's a next game here. How about this one? Let's go Clemson and Virginia Tech. Now, Tech has had some pretty, they've had some pretty tough losses there. They lost to Vanderbilt in OT, lost to Miami on that Hail Mary that was a score, and then it wasn't a score. And then they had an overtime loss to Syracuse last week. So now they're coming into this game. They're going to be at home against Clemson, who, as you mentioned, got destroyed in Louisville. So this one, I think, will be tougher than a lot of people may think. I do think Clemson will put this one out, but I think it's interesting just for the simple fact that they are playing in Virginia Tech, and that environment there is very hostile there. Mm-hmm. You see any games in Virginia Tech, it is very tough to beat them at home. I think Clemson has enough to pull this one out, and I think they will keep it pretty low scoring as well. Well, lower scoring. I'm going to say 26-21 because I think Clemson is going to be upset because they got embarrassed. At home. Yeah. I think they'll win.
Coming back out.
Yep.
Look, there's not really much to say. You said the exact word that was going to come out of my mouth. They got embarrassed. I'm going to go Clemson. Now, don't get me wrong. Virginia Tech has a good defense. I do think that they match up somewhat well with them. But you can run on this Virginia Tech team. You can run on them, and it's been shown. Now, don't get me wrong. That Virginia Tech team can run too. They got a fantastic running back with what's his name? Tootin?
Yeah, Tootin. Yep.
Yeah. So I think Clemson does come. I think they were embarrassed, and when you embarrass a team that is of that caliber, and you kind of really took them out of the entire equation of anything possible about a playoff now they're playing with house money. I'm gonna go Clemson, but I think Clemson handles some business. I'm gonna go Clemson 20. I'm gonna go Clemson 24-10.
Okay, solid
win because they got embarrassed. So, I'm gonna stay in that same conference, and I'm gonna go Duke, NC State.
Okay.
And the reason why I picked this is because I want to see the bounce back from Duke. And they had their opportunity for everything to be in front of them for an ACC championship if they would have handled Miami, which they almost did up until the last 6 minutes. They are going into NC State, where NC State plays very well. Here's the problem. NC State plays very well at home. Very well at home. So I unfortunately do not think Duke bounces back. I think this is in their head. Miami got in their head. I'm going to go NC State 2017.
2017. Okay. Yeah, this is a very interesting game because it looks like NC State is starting to get some things together here. They didn't have the best start at the beginning of the season, but now they starting to come together. Looks like their team is starting to find their identity, starting to find their footing, and they're just playing better as a unit. Mm-hmm. Duke is solid, but I think I am going to agree with you there. And I know it's kind of a bounce back game because they did get walked away from in the second half from Miami, Florida. Or I call it Miami, Florida. I always say that for whatever reason because
every time you've done it, it's always been
Miami.
Do you?
Yeah, but I just Duke. They're one of those teams that they're getting the most out of the talent there because Duke doesn't really have that big of a talent pool compared to these other teams. And when they play teams like Miami and like this NC State team, particularly on the road, that's where that talent discrepancy it starts to show up a little bit. If this game happened 2 weeks ago, I would have picked Duke today. But I think because NC State is starting to get some things together, I'm going to agree with you. I think NC State will win this game. I got it a little bit higher scoring. Hey, Aaron, if Aaron's watching, we're going 34 here. 34-31. 34-31.
That's the first time that number's been picked.
Yeah. 34-31 is where I'm getting there with Duke. I think it will be pretty close, but yeah, NC State will pull it out. And then we'll shoot. Since I'm the last one, we'll jump right into it there again, Patrick. Let's go with Georgia and Ole Miss. So, to me, this is simple. Ole Miss is not too different from Penn State. And we are waiting for this signature win, this win that says we are here, we've arrived. It's time for us to take our place. And the one thing I will give an edge over Ole Miss that I would never give to Penn State is at least Lane Kiffin is going to be aggressive. At least Lane Kiffin is not going to coach scared. At least Lane Kiffin will throw a pass 10 yards, more than 10 yards.
Yeah, on 4th and 20.
Yeah, on 4th and 20. And
so, 30.
Yeah, and so it won't be a if Ole Miss loses, it won't be because they're playing too conservative.
Right.
I just think the situational football still haunts Lane Kiffin a lot when it comes to games like this. And I know you're going to have some thoughts about Carson Beck and how he throws games away, but I just think Georgia, because of them being in these situations over the past few years, they just find a way. They find a way to get it done. It's a defensive touchdown here. Maybe it's a special teams punt block, field goal block. Maybe it's NTN breaking a long touchdown run. And perhaps Beck makes a play on a bubble screen and somebody breaks a tackle.
That bubble screen ain't as good without McConkey.
So I still have UGA winning, man, because I have to see it from Ole Miss to believe that they are a threat, and so far they haven't done that. Georgia wins, and I think they win by 7 to 10 points. I'll go 31-24 Georgia.
Okay. Look, I said it before we started the show. Carson Beck, now that I have watched this kid play, and he doesn't have the weapons that he had last year, this is the worst quarterback we have had since I started watching football. And believe me, dude, you've heard me over the years. How many times? Look, I am not a fan of our quarterbacks, but give me every one of them over this kid. He cannot manage a game. He throws interceptions, and it doesn't help that we got an idiot of an OC. That's that, and that's where it starts. You know what I mean? But if Georgia will do what all of us have been yelling at as Georgia fans, because my cousin, shout out to my cousin, he sent me a text, and he goes, it's amazing how we will try to throw the ball, realize it won't work, so we'll try it again. Realize it still doesn't work, we'll try it one more time. Realize that it's not working again, we're going to try it again, even though we're going against our bet. And then we're like, we got 4 dudes that are huge and can run the ball, and a token white guy. Give it to him. And guess what? When we do, what happens? We freaking score. Happens every damn week. And it pisses me off to no end because they keep trying to put the ball into Carson Beck's hands, and he throws 15 interceptions in a half a quarter. It's driving me nuts. I don't text you during that game, and I already texted you, and I was like, what's he doing? Run the ball. If Kirby Smart will just run the ball. We have been known as Georgia to run the ball for years. Nothing's changed. We got some awesome running backs. Give them the ball and let them run. Just go. As long as if we can do that, we keep the ball out of I'll say Lane Kiffin's hands. And I know Dart is the one that's throwing them, but I'm gonna keep it out of Lane Kiffin's hands because he's a offensive mastermind. We keep it out of his hands, we can win this. And I do think we come out doing just that because everybody in Bulldog Nation is yelling on social media, run the effing ball. Run the effing ball. And if Kirby Smart sees it, what he needs to do. Take it out of Beck's hands. We don't need him throwing 40 times. Let him run 15, 20 times, run the ball. If we do that, I think we win it. I think we handle Ole Miss if we can do that. I think we handle it. I agree with you. You say 7 to 10. I'm gonna say 10 to 14. I'm gonna go 35-17.
Okay, 18 points. All right. So to recap, the 6 games that are on the Pick'em Challenge this week: Colorado, Texas Tech; South Carolina, Vanderbilt; Alabama, LSU; Clemson, Virginia Tech; Duke, NC State; and UGA, Ole Miss. We are disagreeing on the Colorado, Texas Tech, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Alabama, LSU games. So,
somebody is going to catch up, or somebody is going to run away.
Yeah, it's gonna. It could be.
Here we go.
Could be pretty tough if I get down by 4 or 5 games. So, yeah. But it should be a fun week, interesting week. Before we move on to the NFL, let's talk about these rankings real quick, Patrick. So here's what we've got. Of course, this is a 12-team playoff, as been well documented. And how ESPN did the ranking show is, of course, they had the 12 teams. But they also had your first team out and your first and second team out, which in this case would be SMU and Texas A&M. Your top 12 teams are Oregon, and it's in this order: Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, Texas, Penn State, it's funny, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Boise State. Now, those are the rankings, but how they would show up in the actual bracket, no pun intended, how they would show up in the bracket is this way. So for an example, Ohio State, I mentioned, is number 2. Georgia's number 3. Georgia still gets the number 2 seed because they are the leader right now of the SEC, and it is the top 4 conference leaders who get the buys. Ohio State, with that being said, would be your first at large, and
they'd be the 5th seed. They'd be the 5th seed.
Yeah, but your first at large. Yes, they will be the 5th seed because the 5th conference champion can be anywhere in that 12, like anywhere between 5 and 12, and which in this case is Boise State at 12. The rankings and how they would set up in the brackets are a little bit different, but that's how they sit right now. I don't think anyone's surprised that Oregon is the number 1 team, and Georgia. Who else? I'm trying to think here. Drawing a blank. BYU is your other conference, your 4th conference team, and then it is Miami as the other conference winner, or leader. So, thoughts on this first edition of the brackets here?
I mean, honestly, I actually agree with it. I don't have any problems with it. I mean, obviously Ohio State being over Georgia, I can see that. They just beat Penn State. I get it. So I would say the only problem I really would have is I think I'd have a problem with Alabama being at 11. I think that's the only one I have a problem with. I mean, I could see them at 11 if, come this weekend if they beat LSU. I could see that as a jump. But I don't know. That loss to Vandy is still a hard loss for them, and I wouldn't have them in the top 15 still.
Vanderbilt. So I think this is because Vanderbilt isn't your normal Vanderbilt. So this is a Vanderbilt team that is 6-3, and they're bowl eligible. I mean, I think just based off of this year, this isn't a normal. We lost to Vanderbilt, 1-11 Vanderbilt. What the hell are we doing here? I mean, you painted the picture yourself, Patrick. They gave us all we could handle. They're beating Kentucky. They're going on the road and winning in these environments. No, Auburn hasn't been that great this year, but to go down there to Jordan-Hare Stadium and win, that's tough to do. And Vandy has been doing that. Yeah. So I think the ranking that Alabama does have, it could be it's up for debate. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that there isn't anything that couldn't be debated here. Yeah. But this isn't your normal Vanderbilt team. Like I think it's a quality loss. I'll put it that way.
It has turned out to be a quality loss. And luckily for Alabama, they keep winning. That's honestly to me is probably one of them things where they're like, if we're gonna lose to them, hey, they're winning, so let them keep winning. You know what I mean? And I agree with you. And now that we're here, I'm gonna address what Aaron was talking about with Boise State. I wouldn't have put them at 12. I think Boise State is good enough to be in that position somewhere around maybe 10th. I would put them there. I would definitely put them over Alabama because I mean I know what the committee's trying to do. They're trying to keep they're wanting to be with the 12 best teams. I get that. I see Boise State as a better team. I would take a 1-loss Boise State over a 2-loss Alabama. I would, because Boise State is doing what they're doing. they're playing some really good teams, and they're winning those games. And I don't know, for Alabama to be a 2-loss team and being in that running as the 11th seed or rank, I wouldn't have put them. I wouldn't have put them there. I would have to say I agree with it all the way up to Notre Dame. I would have put Boise State, Notre Dame, SMU, and then Alabama. That's where I would have put them.
Yeah, and here's another thing too with the rankings. Look, the rankings, they're a starting point. That's it. All this stuff will work itself out because all these teams are going to play each other. So Alabama sitting at number 11, just mentioned it. They got a game in LSU Saturday night in Baton Rouge. And if they're able to win that game, that could justify the ranking. If not, they probably get eliminated. And so it's really that simple when it comes to these things. Boise State, look, if you look at Boise State's resume, because all these things, we're told all these things are evaluated, but Boise State's only loss is to the number 1 team in the nation right now in Oregon. At Eugene by 3 points. People don't realize that was a very close game in Oregon. And
that was earlier in the season.
Yeah, in week two.
Yeah, week 2.
And so Boise State, I think, I think, especially in a year like this, where there is no dominant team, or there is no team that is standing out. Just mentioned, they lost to the number 1 team by 3 points. Boise State, to me, I agree with you, Patrick and Aaron. I agree. Boise State, I think, is every bit as good and can beat any of these teams in these big conferences on any given week. I think Boise State is that good. And you got Ashton Genty, who I guess between him, Cam Ward, and Travis Hunter, and I guess Dylan Gabriel too, for Oregon. I mean, they're right there neck and neck for the Heisman. I mean, I think that it could be a very, very close race. And of course, there's a month left. We're going to see how this stuff plays out. But it's just fun, I guess, to talk about these rankings because you do have a 12-team playoff. And it's good to see how these things are going to balance out. And you feel like just because of the sheer number, more teams have chances.
Yeah. And what I love about it is 1 loss doesn't kill you. 2 losses puts you on that.
Your team,
now you're done. Because at that point, there's no ground to make up. Back when it was just a 4 game, if you're gonna lose, and even then, it's really hard because these playoffs were expecting perfection. If you're gonna lose, you better lose week 1 or week 2. And for the SEC, that's kind of hard because the first 2 games is all out of conference. Cupcakes is what we call it, right? And then by week 3, you're fully in conference at that point. And if you're fully in conference, you can't lose in your conference. That's hard. And I say that to the SEC, but here's the thing: it's like a conference is a conference, whether that's Big 10, Big 12, SEC, ACC. It don't matter. If you lose in conference, I don't care who you are. It's hard to come back from. And on top of that, it's later in the season. With the 12 team playoff, you can lose a few. You don't have to be perfect. You can slip up. And the way the NIL is working nowadays, the teams are gonna slip up. I mean, they are. I mean, you sit here and watched it. There's only 5 teams left that's undefeated. There might not be that many. I mean, that's already less than what was undefeated. Wasn't it less than what was undefeated last year? I think we had 7 undefeated year before. 6?
I'm not sure of the number. I know 3 teams for sure ended undefeated. Michigan, or at the end of the regular season, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State. I'm sure they ended up undefeated. Not sure of the exact number though.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have it. It doesn't even have it. I tried to look it up just for quick reference. Either way the case may be, you can lose a few. in this new playoff. So it's going to be interesting. Like you said, it's going to work itself out. I do think Boise State. I feel they got a little disrespected within their ranking as of right now, but I think it works itself out because if LSU wins, that's it for Alabama. They ain't making it. They ain't making it. And if Alabama wins, then the 11th rank now is justified, and they possibly move up. You know what I mean?
All right, Patrick. Well, let's go move on to the NFL. What caught your eye from there?
Really only a couple of games, man. That Carolina-New Orleans game was really good. I didn't see Carolina playing that way. They actually played pretty well against New Orleans. And don't get me wrong, so happy they lost. Atlanta beating Dallas. Hey, just another win. No thanks to a lot of thanks to Kirk Cousins, but I'm not going to acknowledge that any further. And what was the other game? I gotta find it. Give me a second. The Kansas City Tampa Bay game, the Monday night game. How it went into overtime. Did you see Baker Mayfield after the coin toss? Oh man,
he knew it. Yeah, he knew it.
He knew it right then. He's like,
Look, if you're Todd Bowles there in regulation, I think you have to go for that win.
Yeah,
you can't. If you have the chance to take the defending Super Bowl champions down with one play, you have to take that shot, especially when you're on the road. You can't let that slide. And I heard his
left it up to a coin toss, dude, and I would not feel comfortable with leaving the game up to a coin toss.
Yeah, I heard his reasoning. He said the weather, because it had been raining, it was a little wet out there, so he didn't feel confident with going for two in that situation. I mean, I look at that like you've been playing the whole damn game in the rain. You're not confident to run one more play in the rain. You
put it in Baker Mayfield's hands and you let him do his thing. He's got you this far. You put it in his hands. You can't take that into overtime.
No.
I don't win the game.
I guess like I can see where he's coming from. That's just you got to take that shot, especially on the road. You got to try to end that game there.
Yeah.
Can't give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes and that offense.
In overtime.
Yeah.
You don't leave it up to a coin toss, man. You just don't leave it up to a coin toss. You go in and you win. You win that 25-24.
Yes, exactly.
Or you lose 24-23. That's plain and simple. That's how you lose.
Atlanta beating Dallas. I think there's a few teams where if I was at the trade deadline, it's a fire sale. Yeah. Dallas is one of those teams. Dallas needs to fire sale. New Orleans needs to fire sale.
Did you see what they did on the field after the turnover? God, my friend texts me. He goes, "Dude, if they work on winning as much as they work on these stupid antics that they put on the field, they'd probably be undefeated right now." I was like, I wouldn't go that far, but they have a winning record.
Yeah, there needs to be some serious conversations. I know there won't be because you got Jerry Jones as the owner, but it's about time for Dallas to, I think, just break that whole team up. Now they're stuck with Dak Prescott. You sign that man for $60 million. No one's going to take that albatross of a contract. No. But the other people, I would be on the phones. I'm calling everybody. What can you give me? What draft picks you can give me? And just start it over, because this is, it's turned into a sham. and kind of always been a sham. But
now it's blatantly obvious because they can't do anything on the field.
Right. And then the Saints, I think they're low key quitting. I mean, they traded the corner, Marshawn Lattimore, to here, up to the Commanders. I love that move.
Oh yeah, that happened this morning, right?
Yeah,
this morning. That's what I thought.
And so I love that move for Washington, solidifying that secondary, and the Chiefs get DeAndre Hopkins. How do the Chiefs continue to get these players? Just these right players that are going to make just a huge difference. And other teams are giving up on them for whatever reason. But the Chiefs, they come to the Chiefs and they're doing their thing. Like DeAndre Hopkins last night looked like DeAndre Hopkins from the Houston Texans days.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and everything, one-handed. Yeah,
but he's with the Chiefs, and this is the Chiefs. They're just a step ahead right now of everybody else. And it's like the teams are there, but stuff like this, Todd Bowles, we're not going to go for 2. The other team runs an end around on 4th and 1. you get some call that doesn't go their way, or that goes. And it's just
Swifties, man.
Yeah.
Swifties.
The Swifties.
It's the Swifties.
Look, Patrick.
You think you know who really owns the Chiefs?
Well, Patrick, stop, man.
It's like I got all the money in the world. The Chiefs win. What? Chiefs win.
What are you?
It's like, this is the only thing I need you to do. I pay you to do this, so do this, okay? And the refs are like, okay.
What are you looking forward to for this next week?
Are we done talking about Taylor Swift?
Well, she seems to be everywhere, and I'm sure if we don't, the Swifties will hit us up.
Yeah, hey, Swifties, we love you. Don't kill us, don't cancel us.
Yeah, right. You don't want the Swifties coming after us.
Yeah, you don't want any of them. Dude, they're relentless. They'll kill you.
Yeah.
How about Buffalo and Indianapolis? I think it's going to be a good game. I mean, I know Buffalo is on a tear right now, but they're playing in Indy, man. I think that's going to be a much better game than what many people is going to think. I think Indy is going to show up, especially after they lost last week. I think they're going to show up and try to play that game.
They're one of those teams that are hard to blow out.
Yeah. Detroit and Houston. That's going to be an interesting game. And then there was one more I was looking at. How about Cincinnati and Baltimore?
Yeah, the Thursday night game. Yeah, Cincinnati and Baltimore. The division game. There's always you have both quarterbacks playing at a really high level right now. I expect this game to be pretty high scoring.
And after a 5-game losing streak, Joe Burrow's on trail now. He's on a drone.
The last time they played, it was a 41-38 contest.
Yeah.
So Baltimore was able to pull that out in that game in Cincinnati. Of course, they're playing in Baltimore come Thursday night. Detroit and Houston's the Sunday night game. Detroit looks strong. 7-1 right now. It looks like the road through the NFC. It looks like it will go through Detroit right now. There's a lot of football left. Could change, but Detroit looks poised to have home field advantage throughout if this continues. Like we were mentioning a little bit with the trade deadline and some of those teams that could be that probably need to do a fire sale. One of the reasons why I said Dallas is probably time for them to do a fire sale is because of this. Number one, Dak is going to miss some time. He messed his hamstring up in the game against the Falcons. CeeDee Lamb might miss some time with his shoulder. But if you look at the standings, the Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles are both sitting with 2 losses. The Commanders are 7-2, and the Eagles are 6-2, I believe. So that's just within the division. Just mentioned Detroit. This is just division leaders. So Detroit's 7-1. Y'all with the Falcons, y'all are sitting at 6-3, and then the Arizona Cardinals are leading the NFC West. They have played some good ball, and they're sitting at 5-4. Now, those are just the division leaders. And then you look at your wild cards, the Eagles, like we mentioned, 6-2. And then you go to the NFC North, you have Minnesota sitting at 6-2, and the Green Bay Packers are 5-3. So your wild cards.
Packers are 6-3.
Huh?
Packers are 6-3.
6. Okay, yeah, 6-3. They haven't had a bye week. So you're looking at that. Dallas is sitting with 5 losses already, and they're losing all their people.
Yeah. They're only 1 win better than the Giants.
Yeah, I think it's time. Look, we have said, I know we said we're not going to be talking about the Cowboys too much on this show because why? I mean,
they're out of the conversation.
Yeah, like they don't do anything. They don't merit the amount of conversation these stations and everybody else gives them. But this is a conversation that needs to be had. You need to blow this team up. I think it's time. This core. It's time to get rid of them.
I would say this. Here's the funny thing about it. They're a good team. They're just owned horribly. I really do feel that this team that they do have, and now don't get me wrong, it's going to have to be blown up because the true solution will never go away. The true solution is Jerry Jones needs to get out. He needs to settle. There's your real problem. And as long as Dallas is owned by this man, they'll never win. If he was not the owner, the people they have in place is a Super Bowl contending team. They could contend. But he has to go. He's not going to go. He's never going to go. I think that man will probably own the Cowboys through death. It's like dead serious. Like he will own the Cowboys forever.
The Al Davis situation.
Yeah. So if you can't get rid of the true problem, then you got to get rid of something. Blow the team up. But here's the problem. You're going to blow it up. No matter who you bring in, it's not going to be any different. That's the true definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And as long as Jerry Jones is the owner, you're never going to get a different outcome. It's just it. So, but I'm going to add 2 other teams that need to blow it up and refigure is the Giants and the Panthers. There's 2 other teams that need to just do it too.
Well, the Panthers. So if the Panthers already kind of blew it up, they're gonna need to blow it up again.
Yeah, they didn't blow it up enough. They didn't use enough dynamite. They need to blow it up. Like they should be scratching their head like this, going, "Should we have used 20 pounds, not just the 3? We should have used more. Let's blow it up again." And unfortunately, in Carolina, Bryce Young is not the answer. This is not.
No quarterback's going to succeed there in Carolina. But if you want to put it on Bryce Young, I can understand where there may be a few limitations there, but they don't have a good team.
No.
Period.
And they don't have a good coaching staff.
Yeah, and the coaching staff is new because that was part of their blow up before. They brought in a new coach to start this year. As a matter of fact, it was the offensive coordinator down there for Tampa Bay, Dave Canales. And so I think with him being there, you have to figure out what you're going to do at that quarterback situation. I mean, you benched Bryce Young already. Do you stay with him? And if you are going to stay with him, you have to start building the team around him. You need to get the offensive line in there, and that's any quarterback. You need to get the offensive line strong. You need to develop the running game. You need to develop the defensive line over there. Like, you're just gonna have, like, if you're gonna tear this thing up, tear it up. Get all kinds of draft picks and start building the team. And
pick your key players and build around.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Giants too. The Giants, they're another team. They don't know really what they want to do, but I don't know. Like that Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, it's probably time to get another guy in there. The Giants right now just seems like a snake-bitten team. It doesn't matter what they do; it just seems destined not to work. That's how the Giants look right now. I watched them play these last 3 games in particular. I was down in your crib for one of them when they played the Cowboys on that Thursday night. And then the other 2 just now against the Steelers on a Monday night and this game against the Commanders. They can make plays. They can get a big catch. They can get a big sack, but they can never string consistent good plays together. And when you're watching them, like if they have a drive together, just for a perfect example here, if they put together a 9-play drive, they're moving the ball down and then they get to, let's say, the 12-yard line. You're expecting a mistake. Yeah. You're expecting a fumble. And it's some fluky stuff, like a botch snap.
Yeah. It's like they can't get right in the red zone.
The throw where a dude is wide open, but it's tipped at the line and it gets picked.
Yeah,
it's always something like that. Hey, my dude is going in for the end zone. Bloop, the ball slips out of his hand, and it's a fumble, and it's a touchback. You know?
And it happens to him every time. Yeah. Every time. It's like Kansas City gets all the luck, and the Giants get all the bad luck.
Yeah, exactly.
And ever since Eli left, they haven't done anything. And they weren't even that good when Eli was there. All three of their Super Bowl runs was what 8-8, 8-8, and 8-8. I think they were all 3 8-8. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, they might have had a 9-7 in there.
Yeah, they did host a wild card game. I think the second Super Bowl run,
which would have made them 9-7. So it's 8-8, 9-7, and 8-8.
So. Yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, there's some teams that, we need to just blow it up and start over. So real quick, Patrick, before we hop on out, man, let's give some respect and some props to the LA Dodgers. They won the World Series on Wednesday night against the New York Yankees, won that in 5 games. Did you predict 5 games? Or did you say
I predicted 6, but I said it would not surprise me one bit for Dodgers to take it in 5.
Well, they took it in 5, and I have to give Dave Roberts some credit here. Reason why
he managed a good game or a good series. I was like, this is not even the same person.
Yeah. He sat there and he said, someone's saying hi to you, Patrick. Thanks for the votes, Florida.
Oh, Philip.
Which one is Philip?
I was in the military with him.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, we got deployed together. Qatar.
Oh, shoot.
I hadn't heard from it. Hey, Philip, what's up, man? I hadn't heard from you in a while, dude. Hope everything's going good.
Yeah, and good to see you tune in, Philip. That's what's up, man. See, man, it's cool when you can do these shows and people you haven't talked to. Yes, he got you. He said Qatar. Yep.
I had to think for a minute because I was deployed 3 times, so I had to think which one that was. But yeah.
Man, that's good. It's really good when you can do these shows and somebody you haven't talked to or talked with
years. I appreciate you, Philip, for tuning in, man. Good to hear from you. Hope everything's going good. For real.
Absolutely. And with the Dodgers, Dave Roberts leaving in Blake Trinan. When I was watching that, I was watching that with my dad, and I said, as soon as Dave Roberts was coming out, Trinan's gone. He's about to get pulled. He came out there and he said, "You got this."
Will Pet Talk gave him a slap on the shoulder and said, "Go get him."
And I said, "What? Okay."
I was like,
let's go.
I was like, they're winning in 5. It's over.
Yeah, you like it's done.
I was like, if he's gonna coach like this, they're winning in 5.
Yeah.
Yankees got lucky and they didn't get swept. That's all that was. And honestly, I think the Dodgers felt sorry for them. To be honest with you, I think they felt sorry. Oh, did you see what the Patriots did?
Yeah,
that was cool. They were like, "Thanks for beating the Yankees."
Yeah,
hell with the Yankees. I can't stand those pinstripes.
Hey Philip, I appreciate the kind words. And you said you're living in Southern Utah. It's pretty cool, man. I got a boy. He's closer to Salt Lake City, so maybe y'all should meet one of these days. Just like he's in the military as well. And we had deployed and been stationed at some of these same places. So, Utah, Patrick, if you get to go out to Utah, it's a nice state. Yeah,
I'll be out there with all the Mormons.
Yep, there you go. So congratulations to the Dodgers for winning the World Series, and they have a team that's set up to be a factor for
several years.
A while.
They
don't
have any major contract conflicts for the next 3 years, so
they're going to be a factor, man. So Patrick, man, we're about to head on out, man. Before we get on out, man, what is coming and what is happening right now with Bro Epic?
We have some big things coming up. We had to put the football challenge on hold until probably around Thanksgiving break. I cannot get the kids together on the same week. So we have a lot of really cool stuff that's coming out. We're doing pop darts challenges. We're doing bucket golf challenge. We're gonna start trying to do some cornhole challenges, and we're gonna implement some pickleball challenges. So there are going to be a lot of shorts that's coming out, and hopefully we can get some collabs with some of these companies and put out some really cool stuff.
That's what's up, and as you know, we're on the social medias, and I know Bro Epic is on the social medias as well. So go ahead and check it out.
It's fun. It's fun.
He's putting out the shorts. Seen him on Instagram and then over here on YouTube as well. Lots of good stuff, and like you said, there's a lot coming, and more to come on that. I won't spoil any surprises here.
I'm not going to release any surprises yet.
Yeah,
but I got some really cool stuff coming up. It's going to be cool.
So more to come on that, and for this product here, y'all know where we're at. You know, when you catch us live every Tuesday evening, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, and we are on those podcast forums as well. So listen to them, or listen to wherever you get your podcast from. With that, that will conclude this edition of the BOFA Sports Webcast. That is what we are breathing on for tonight. Y'all make sure y'all visit the BOFA Sports YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and follow the BOFA Sports Facebook page. Lots of fun stuff coming up. We had just gotten into the college football playoff rankings, so you know it's coming at a time. We're into November. These games more and more crucial as we get closer. So everybody enjoy the games. Everybody take care of themselves, and we will talk to y'all soon. Whether it's next week for a show or something like that, we'll talk to you. You'll be hearing from us.
Yeah. Aaron and Philip, I appreciate y'all coming on. And Philip, it was good hearing from you, man. And keep us posted on how life is going. Drop in and hit us with a few cat bubbles every now and then. We love hearing from you, dude.
Absolutely, man. Great to see the feedback on here. And we appreciate y'all for tuning in and leaving comments and interacting with us. It's always fun. We get some interaction.
And go check out Pro Epic.
They said, yep. Philip said, will do. Yep. And so everybody take care. Enjoy the games, and we'll talk. So